Real quickly, before I begin, join my Discord, the link's in the description. Enjoy the video. Movement in Phantom Forces. It's an essential part of the game no matter what rank you are or what map you're playing on. If you don't have at least some knowledge on how to use PF's movement mechanics to effectively traverse the map and outmaneuver your enemies in gunfights, then getting a decently high amount of kills in a single round will be quite a challenge. But let's say you've got the whole movement thing figured out. If for some reason the game still feels a bit slow, then this is the video for you. The default walk speed for most weapons in Phantom Forces is 14. We do not like that number. If you mostly use 14 walk speed weapons, they'll feel awfully slow after a while. So in this video, we'll be taking that number and increasing it as much as we possibly can. I'll be showing you some of the most ridiculously sweaty loadouts I've ever laid my eyes on, and by the end of your G Fuel induced rampage, your enemies will have no clue what hit them. So, let's get started. Just as a baseline, let's start off with the MP5K10, a gun I've discussed in several of my videos already. There are many PDWs and carbines with 15 walk speed, but I chose the MP5K10 because it's probably the best example of a basic CQC aggro gun that most people can learn pretty easily. The MP5K is unlocked at rank 0, so all of you at least have the base gun. My favorite setup for this gun is Delta Sight, T-Brake, Sideways Grip, Tri-Laser, and the 10mm conversion. This is the optimal setup for the MP5K10, unless you're using the burst grouping attachment, which I won't discuss in this video. If you're a low rank who wants to play a bit more aggressively, but you don't have any of the higher ranked, fast-paced, angle grinder fender bender guns like the Mac 10 or the E-gun yet, then saving for the MP5K10 is a very good idea, as it's an incredibly powerful PDW for its rank. However, 15 walk speed is far from the highest you can get in Phantom Forces, so let's try to go even faster. Next up we have the K14 with comp aim point, short barrel, skeleton grip, remove stock, and 308 Winchester. I don't like snipers and I've never really done well with them, but the K14 has been one of my favorites for a very long time. The gun has a fast base walk speed of 14.5, the second highest in its weapon class, and with this setup it reaches 15.08, which is slightly faster than the Scout's base walk speed of 15. I don't think there will ever be a point where I drop 100 kills using any sniper, but I did hit some pretty cool shots with this gun in my time using it. For some reason, using the 308 conversion for this gun gives it slightly better handling, which I don't quite understand, but that's fine with me because the default ammo K14 has like 1700 muzzle velocity with light barrel, which isn't exactly ideal for sniping. Another interesting fact about light barrel is that for some reason it only increases your walk speed by 2%. I've never really understood this since the retract stock attachment on a lot of guns increases walk speed by 5%, which is more than the K14's light barrel and remove stock combined. That's stupid, but whatever. Moving on. I don't exactly hold the MP7 in high regard since it only has 14 walk speed and 15 aim speed despite weighing like 4.2 pounds in real life. But with Delta Sight, T-Brake, folded grip, and retract stock, you can get up to 15.44 walk speed, which is very funny, so I'll include it in this video. You could probably also get away with ARS suppressor on it since it already aims so fast, but this gun only has a minimum damage range of 100 studs, so do so at your own risk. Is this the best MP7 setup? Probably not, but it still melts in close quarters with pretty decent penetration, so all things considered, it's quite a silly PDW with some decent utility on maps like Metro. The recoil on this gun sucks, however. Next up, we have the T36C with Delta Sight, T-Brake, Romanian Grip, Retract Stock, and the 300 Blackout conversion. This loadout comes in at a whopping 15.75 walk speed, which is faster than almost every single two-handed melee in the game. I'm a bit biased here since the G36C is currently my highest kill gun at around 23,000 kills, but I mean, come on. This thing is absurd. I picked the 300 Blackout conversion because this loadout already isn't exactly the best at long range when you aren't using its stock. But this exact loadout has given me such an unholy number of 100 kill games that it would be stupid not to mention here. We're taking the G36C, which is already a sweat cannon on its own with 15 base walk speed, and we're optimizing it for an even more aggressive CQC roll that honestly has no business working this well. You whip this bad boy out on Metro and it's all over. With the ability to kill in 3 shots to the torso or limbs up to a respectable distance of 47 studs, this loadout absolutely bulldozes in close quarters. And honestly, if there's one thing you should be taking away from this video, it's that you need to stop sleeping on the G36C. It's absurdly underrated for a rank 7 unlock, and if you know how to abuse movement in this game, it's insanely strong on most maps. Okay, so I was gonna record footage for the ZX7 and I just joined PF and I got into a server with Snowy and he actually recognized me, so that's pretty cool, I guess. Anyways, we're now at the point where we're making some pretty huge sacrifices in order to get our walk speed as fast as possible. Coming in at an insane 15.88 walk speed is the L2A3, or in this case the ZX7, with AMT Terminator, short barrel, stubby grip, remove stock, and the 45 ACP conversion. The reason I used 45 ACP on this gun is the same reason I used 300 Blackout on the G36C, because let's be honest, you are not using this thing at long range anyway, so you might as well make it 2-tap at close range. Since the L2A3 has amazing hipfire, this loadout is surprisingly good at close range, but its 2-tap can be pretty inconsistent at times, so trying to drop 100 kills with this gun was quite a painful experience. I was pleasantly surprised by this gun being actually usable, but despite its blisteringly fast walk speed, it just didn't really have the fire rate it needed to fit a truly aggressive playstyle. Yes, the setup has the mobility, but if you want to truly destroy your enemy's will to live, then you'll need your gun to at least shoot somewhat fast, and 550 RPM just isn't fast enough to do this. So, let's keep going. This next setup is only a tiny bit faster than the ZX7, but my experience using it was a lot less painful. The PPSH-41 Obres with Delta Sight, Obres Barrel, Sideways Grip, Remove Stock, and 35 round mag comes in at an incredible 15.9 walk speed. What scared me the most about this setup is that it's actually good. Like, granted, it's relegated entirely to containers. In fact, most of the guns at this point are useless anywhere except containers. But I was genuinely surprised at how strong this thing was when I used it on containers. So why is this actually kind of decent? Well, the most important attachment here is the Obres barrel, because not only does this drastically improve your handling, but it increases the maximum damage from 24 to 29, giving the PPSH the ability to kill in 4 shots to the limbs or torso at close range, which it can no longer do normally as a result of the rework it got in the most recent update. And the funniest part is that it doesn't even reduce your minimum damage at all. The main downside to the Obres barrel is that it gives your PPSH-41 bullet choke, making it pretty much useless past 100 studs anyway, but the fact that this loadout is as effective as it is, even within 100 studs, despite being min-maxed purely from ability, is just absurd. By no means is it the optimal PPSH setup, but it's pretty damn good, especially compared to some of the other setups here. This is the last actually good setup in this video, but you can definitely go even faster than this, so let's keep going. The BWC-9A with Delta Sight, Short Barrel, Stubby Grip, Blue Laser, and Reduced Mag is just barely slower than most one-handed melees at 15.99 walk speed, and I mean, yeah, obviously this thing sucks, but it was weirdly fun in a way. I was expecting this gun to be so unspeakably horrible that I'd be using my secondary the whole time, but it really wasn't that bad, especially not compared to the next gun on this list. Cracking into the 16 walk speed range, we have the fastest possible sniper setup. The Model 700 with Coyote Sight, Light Barrel, Skeleton Grip, Remove Stock, and the 32 ACP conversion. I've never actually discussed this conversion before on this channel, and that's because frankly, it's garbage. Outside of giving you 16.08 walk speed, this conversion is absolutely terrible because it only has 2000 muzzle velocity, and with Light Barrel, it drops down to 1400. This setup is basically unusable. It's actually one of the worst experiences I've ever willingly put myself through. This gun aims so fast that it's honestly disorienting, and trying to compensate for the stupid bullet drop is even worse. Guys, please stop telling me to use this conversion. Even with Heavy Barrel, which brings it back up to 2400 muzzle velocity, there's no reason to ever use this over the Scout unless you're too poor to afford the Scout. And honestly, you'll get much better results with the Marksman Barrel SL9, which shoots twice as fast and does actual damage to the torso and limbs. So yeah, stay far the hell away from this thing. Avoid it like it's the plague, because it's absolutely terrible. And the fastest possible walk speed on any gun in the game at 16.15 is a C8 CQB with comp aim point, CQB barrel, sideways grip, retract stock, and 20 tact. And as you can probably expect, it's not that great. Granted, it runs laps around the BWC-9 and the 32 ACP Remington 700 because the base C82 is actually, good. But yeah, as it turns out, if you want your gun to have faster movement speed than most one-handed melees, you'll have to make some pretty big cuts. The only other thing this setup has going for it is that it can 2-tap head at close range, but you can achieve this with just 20 tact and you don't need any of the extra stuff. I might give the C8 a video of its own because it's honestly a pretty interesting gun in itself, but this setup is pretty bad if you aren't playing a CQC map, especially now that 20 tact no longer has a 1.4 second reload. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the fastest obtainable gun in Phantom Forces. I hope you're satisfied. Well, there you have it. You are now properly equipped to give both yourself and everyone on the enemy team nightmares for the next few weeks. If you're new to this game and need a complete PF movement guide, then there's a great guide by Winky, who is one of PF's best movement players, which I'll leave in the description. But before you go, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more informative PF content from me in the future. Goodbye.